Here we go. Good morning. We've got Reese here from Reese's Footy Feed. Reese, how you doing? You all right?
I'm alright, thank you. You?
Yeah, very, very good. Although I'm a little bit nervous about the weekend. We've not won a game in the league this year, but we are playing a team that has not only not won games, but you're not even shooting.
No.
Tell me, tell me about your season, mate. Because look, last season you blew the championship away, and everyone thought, right, they're going to carry on this form into the Premier League, but it just hasn't quite clicked for you this season, has it?
Yeah, we thought that too, but the majority of us, I think there was a bit of a disparity in our fan base about some people had really high aspirations of maybe even finishing like in the top 10, top 12, while me and probably the more realistic people in the fans.
Mm.
Just thought as long as we're still up in like 15, 16, 17, that'll be enough. And I thought we would finish probably 16, something like that. And
Mm.
actually, at the beginning of the season, I must admit, and I'm not going to make too many friends on the Bournemouth channel here, but I actually, before the ball was kicked, thought that Luton, Sheffield, and yourselves were the likely bottom three. So that just shows, you never know because we've gone on completely different trajectories since then.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I presume there have been some Burnley fans that have been calling for Vincent Kompany's head and wanting him to go. Have there been, or on the whole, is the fan base more sort of loyal to him and do you think they should stick with him?
So all season because nothing literally from day one, nothing has gone right. So there's not really been even a spell where you can say, right, we're turning the corner now. So all season there has been sort of murmurings, but like the
Mm.
consensus is it was supposed to be a 5-year plan with Vincent Company to sort of achieve what we wanted to achieve, and we were sort of timetabling getting out of the championship within 3 years. So when we blew the whole league away, uh, uh, like the first time of asking, and then we've come up and we've struggled, people were trying to say, well, they weren't expecting it to happen so quickly. The plans were in place. We've been caught sort of on unawares. Vincent Company's only a 37-year-old manager, and obviously for a manager that's a coach in very much his embryonic stages of his career. No matter how amazing he was as a player, that's no age for a manager. So there's been a lot of patience, but I would say the way we didn't turn up against Arsenal, the way that it was just passionless and empty and devoid of ideas and any drive at Palace last week. I would say that these last two games in particular have sort
Mm.
of I practically said on my channel, Company out after the Palace defeat last week. However, now that I've calmed myself down for the course of the week, looked at it in the cold light today, and decided we're already down now, so in a way, what's the
Mm.
point? He's proven what we can be like in the championship, so let's just play as well as we can, accumulate as many points and as many plans and as much confidence as we can for the remainder of this season. And then he deserves at least 10 games in the championship next season to
Yeah.
see an hope that we can set off in the right footing with momentum next year. But I don't think if we score starting next season, started slowly next season and maybe mid-table in September, October, I don't think he'll be on for the job.
It's you've gone from Sean Dyche, and I don't want to be derogatory here, but there were these things on Twitter that went round that like Burnley Twitter bingo. So you had Brexit FC, you had anti-football, kick and hoof,
Yeah,
kick and run, and so it it maybe wasn't the prettiest style for the football Puritan, but it was a style that was pretty effective, and it on the whole was quite successful. So you've gone from that into I'm watching the first game for Burnley in the Championship, playing this beautiful football. Like,
yeah,
hang on a sec, is this Burnley or Manchester City? What's going on here? Do
yeah.
you sometimes wish that he would sacrifice his style a little bit to be maybe a little bit more purposeful and pragmatic?
The thing is, he has done to a little extent already.
Mm,
We're no long. I don't even know what we are at the moment. We were supposed to be a possession based sort of, using the midfield and get the ball out wide and create overloads. That's what we were supposed to be doing. But now we've moved to sort of, I think we're a counter attacking team, but
mm,
we're not potent or clinical enough or concise enough in what we do to really pull that off either. But the problem is that the signings we made in the summer, uh, we've spent £105 million, which
mm,
in Premier League terms is like pence, but to Burnley Football Club, it's a severe fortune. And I have to say that even if we didn't sign anybody, or maybe signed a couple of influential loan players that we had last season, like maybe Taylor or Madison,
mm,
I don't think we couldn't be worse than we are now. Like, we would be better if we'd not spent any of that and just kept what we had. So
mm.
it's not a question of his principles being wrong or his tactics being wholly bad. It's a question of are the individuals fit for purpose in the Premier League to play
Mm.
what's needed.
Yeah, I'm just looking at your last sort of few results. So the aggregate score for the last three games is 11-1. And the one thing that I'm noticing is the shots or lack of shots on target recently, and that's that has to be a
Yeah.
concern.
I think it's just got to a point now where the confidence is just so low and brittle in the group that it's like all the all the lads are trying to pass the responsibility for the final shot onto someone else, and we're seeing so little of the ball that when they do get it, they're overthinking it too. I mean, in fairness, we were really good at Anfield and probably the
Mm,
better team in the first half. Like,
mm,
scoring the goal at Anfield was good, and we did have key chances, and we went to City and we stayed in the game for a long time, which is all you can ask. But
mm,
the problem is over the piece. If you were looking at the highlights of the season, we've probably
mm,
played well for 90 minutes as a whole twice. There's only really the Crystal Palace home game where we created loads and couldn't put a chance away and then got caught on a break twice and lost 2-0. And then we went away to Fulham just before Christmas and we beat them, and then you beat them 3 days later. So Fulham must have been on like a blip, and that's all we've really got to look back on. Other than
mm.
that, it's just
You must be looking at you must be looking quite wistfully at teams like Luton that I know the points the 4 points that have been re-added to Everton's tally means they're a bit further from safety at the moment.
Yeah,
But the
yeah.
amount of team spirit they've shown this season has been huge.
Luton are in drastic trouble now, but it's through no fault of their own.
Mm,
Luton have spent hardly anything. I think something like £10 million, not even that.
yeah.
But Andros Townsend, Ross Barkley, like I think that ill health and they're not being available of Tom Lockyer, who's the captain,
Mm,
and what happened to him for the second time at your ground. I do
mm,
think that's sort of gone a long way towards
mm,
galvanising the team spirit in a good way, and they're the absolute antithesis of Burnley in terms of the big, physical, strong, athletic specimens,
mm.
whereas we are full of slight, technically gifted, pretty footballers, and we don't appear to have a proper on the pitch leader, really, in many ways, which I can think of many that Luton do have, and I think the way that the ground is and
Yeah.
how compact and close to the pitch the stands are at Kenilworth Road has really made it an ugly place to go at. We did actually win there, but we've only had 3 wins all season. And if I
Mm,
tell you that 2 of them, one was against Sheffield United and the other against Luton, so
yeah.
I think it speaks volumes for where we've been at.
I think that was the game I think where Adebayo scored late on, and then was it Larson that scored literally about 60
Yeah,
seconds afterwards.
yeah, Brung out in an injury time right at the end.
Wonder goal
But
as well. Good goal.
yeah, but we were we were we really lowered our luck in that second half. I think if I
Mm.
remember, the crossbar and post came to our aid a couple of times, and James Trafford had to impersonate Superman on a few occasions to keep us in it. So yeah.
Love it. So, look. So, what's the best case scenario? Obviously, the best case scenario would be staying up. But what are you looking for between now
So,
and the end
so,
of?
so,
Because you must be looking at this thinking, Bournemouth, they're on a bit of a bad run. If we're going to take points, we need to try to take points from this fixture.
yeah, I said exactly the same thing on mine when I did a little preview for it last night. In an ideal world, we're rubbing our hands together thinking that Bournemouth have, achieved great things this season, but more or less don't appear to have a lot to aim for now and are on a bad patch when they've got perhaps most of the biggest attacking threats maybe aren't going to be playing. And so, what
Mm,
better game to boost our confidence? But conversely, if you from your perspective, you're desperate for something to stop the rot, and so you don't want to start looking over your shoulder. Even though I think there's enough teams between you and relegation for you to already be safe, but you don't want to be going into a firm month since Christmas without a win. But you're
mm.
thinking, we are going to Burnley, who've lost 10 out of the 13 home games. It's not going to get any friendlier than this for us. So we're both sort of looking at the game thinking what could be better. And it's for that reason why I can see sort of a 1-1 draw that
Mm.
in essence it won't do either of us any good, will it?
Yeah. Do you get to home games as much as you can?
I go to pretty much every game home and away.
What's the atmosphere been like at Turf Moor? Because we've been there before, we've had some awful games. I remember going to a 4-0 loss there. I remember one where we were moaning about VAR when it looked like we'd equalised, but it turned out that it was disallowed, and then you got a penalty to make it
Yeah.
2-0 instead of 1-1. And then there was one win I saw there, which was a last minute Callum Wilson goal, I think. But on the
Yeah.
whole, the atmosphere has been pretty intimidating. It's been raw. It's been loud. What's it been like this season?
We're a very passionate and like I can't tell you what like football is very central to the community. Like the football club means a hell of a lot. Like Burnley shirts are adorned like every day of the year by
Mm,
people around here. They come in so much, and this is why it's so sad to see the way that things have panned out this season because we've gone from being on utter cloud nine at the end, well, all the way through last season, where there was such a marrying of passion between the players, fans, Vincent Company, everybody on the same page. It was so exciting to go to the game, and uh, now like this team is brand new. We've more or less torn up the team that got us the success that we had last season. We've brought in so many young foreign players who just don't really seem to buy into the fans and the club and understand the identity of what we are. And so
mm,
because we've lost so many times at home and often conceded an early goal as well within 10 or 15 minutes, it's just kind of sucked the life out of the vibrance of the crowd. And
mm.
at the moment, man, you always have a favourite player or a favourite couple of players in your team, don't you, generally? But
Yes, of course.
at the moment, the problem is I and the majority of other Burnley fans have been hard pressed to tell you who the favourite player is. I mean, we've had bright
Wow.
spots with Coley Osho on the wing, 18-year-old Italian at the beginning of the season, but he's been out since December and he's very tricky and skillful and really tore it up. And all
Mm,
the battles only 19, he's French, he's come in and he scored a few goals and, been willing to cut inside and take shots on. So he's exciting, but they're really the only two that have got bumps off seats all season. And otherwise, other people's favourite players have probably been a keeper Murridge, who was
mm,
fabulous last season, sort of very similar to Edison for City, but on a championship scale. And then Josh Cullen, who's the piano pusher in midfield, just allowing us to beat the press and do the dirty work and play the simple passes. He was the Players Player of the Year and the Fans Player of the Year last season, but he's been warming the bench since November.
mm.
So at the moment,
Wow.
we're desperate for somebody to cling to be the fans' favourite, and we don't so much have one at this time.
Mm. Well, Sky obviously, because they always pick their matches
Yeah, are
for a
you
reason. So
going?
they're obviously smelling some kind of victory for Burnley, and but yeah, I'll be going up, so it's going to be a nice early start on Sunday morning. I was contemplating getting an Airbnb or a hotel on the Saturday night, but no,
Do,
we're
do,
just driving
do,
up
you, do,
very
you,
early.
do you go to basically every game? Because that's severe dedication. I do have
Yeah.
some family indoors, so I usually do go to Bournemouth away.
Oh, nice.
I didn't come to the league game in October, but I was there at the FA Cup game last year when we beat you 4-2, and that
Yeah.
just shows, doesn't it? Because we were thinking about that game then, thinking admittedly Bournemouth for no great shakes, but they'll probably
Mm,
safe this year. And if we can go to a Premier League ground and run riot, scoring
mm,
four times, and our style works to such an extent, against the team in the league above, then we should have no worries. But
That's what. Well, yeah, that's what we thought. I mean, that's I think was why Burnley, I think, in a lot of people's eyes, could do well in the Premier League. But I just think that kind of style of football in the Championship, when you're playing teams that, with all due respect, haven't got as much technical quality as Premier League teams, when you start getting found out, I can imagine that the confidence just starts to eke away when you're losing sort of
yeah.
every week or most weeks, and then it's maybe hard to believe the philosophy that Kompany's trying to implement.
Well, yeah. And also the thing is we've really not helped ourselves by, well, it's our choice because we made a mess in recruitment, but we can't be putting too many square pegs in round holes in the Premier League, and unfortunately we've
Yeah.
had to do that because we had Ian Matson at left back on loan from Chelsea last season, but he was fantastic at inverting into the midfield in a sort of a similar way to what Trent does for Liverpool. And
Yeah.
because he strode into midfield with such sort of athleticism and skill and dynamism, he was fantastic at beating the press in the Championship. And because we've had to go back to Charlie Taylor, who's our only recognised left back, who's a very serviceable left back, but how can you go from not appearing in the Championship to now being a left back who's the first choice starter in the Premier League? Like, there's a real drop off, and
Yeah.
obviously it is like fundamentals are more focused on the defensive side of the game. So we've not got really any attacking outlets from wing back,
Yeah.
and
It's
then when we do try, we're
mm,
then terrible at getting caught on the overload. Like the number of times that we get caught too high up the pitch and we concede goals on the back post.
mm,
That's been a real problem for us, conceding on the back post. And then obviously we're really poor at defending set pieces too, because James Trafford is a fantastic young shot stopper. England under
mm,
21, and I do think 3 or 4 years down the line he might be as good as say Aaron Ramsdale or even Jordan Pickford. But
wow.
at the moment, he's not physically developed enough to come and demand his box.
Yeah.
And then distribution wise, he tries to do that thing where he like stands on the ball and waits for ages to release it and pick out a pass. And he tries to give us what Muric does, but
Yeah.
he has nowhere near the distance or the accuracy. So,
Mm,
like against Palace last week, he played a square ball directly into the midfield for Josh Brownhill, but Josh Brownhill was being pressed by
mm,
two Palace midfielders. And we got caught on the ball, and Brownhill has no choice but to drag him down, and he's the last man, and we're down to 10 men. And that just sums up, unfortunately, we seem to have a million ways to shoot ourselves in the foot, and the opposition are having to work nowhere near hard enough to score the goals against us. That's the
mm.
problem.
Yeah. All right. Well, Reese, how do you see it going on Sunday then? You've sort of said 1-1 at one point. Are you sticking to that? Do you think that Burnley are going to get something, or could this be a famous Turf Moor win? I say famous; it's only Bournemouth, but um,
And,
but
and,
could it be a win?
at the moment, I'd take a win against my local non-league team of playing Scotland.
The dog and duck. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's too late for this season, but it's just like, come on now, bro. We've got 12 games left. So, in my brain, we're on, if we could get maybe 14 more points and make a fist of it to get to like 27 points, and then we're alive with 3 or 4 games. I just don't want the red line under our name,
Yeah.
by the beginning of it. I want us to be able to at least mathematically take it to the last 3 or 4 games. Not for
Yeah.
anything else than that. I just want to see some pride, some organisation, and some tactical awareness. And
Mm.
plus, the more we can win now, the more chance we have of taking some more momentum into next season. Whereas if we just get pummeled and beat week after week, how is he going to pick them all up in the summer to attack
Yeah.
next
Mm.
year? So about looking at the bigger picture, but it depends on how many of your attackers are going to be ready. If it's not as bad as it sounds, and they miraculously all appear, then I'd have to think that it's going to be a Bournemouth win. But
Mm.
ideally, we might get a bit of a favour by you having to play some utility players and then a
Mm.
draw. But we've had 2 clean sheets all season. So
Yes. So there's going to be goal. There's going to be. I mean, I think it all depends for us whether Dom Solanke is going to be fit or not. We're hoping he will be, but we were just watching the game, the unfortunate exit in the FA Cup to Leicester on Tuesday night, and he was limping down the touchline. He's got a knee problem, and he's apparently 50-50, but it's not looking good. But we will see. We will see.
so if I can just ask you a quick question about
Yeah.
Bournemouth. So you didn't win for the first 9 games.
Mm.
Then you were fantastic in the winter. Right, from late October after you beat us through to after Christmas. You were superb. And now you've sort of semi hit a brick wall again.
Mm.
So what I would ask you is, what do you think a realistic reflection on Bournemouth is? Because you've had like 3 chapters this season, like
Mm.
horrendous at the beginning, then amazing, and then a couple of months where it's been, you might say, uninspiring. So
Mm.
what would you say is a true reflection of the way Bournemouth are?
It's very
Yeah,
difficult to It's very difficult to know at this point in time, really, but especially when you're in the midst of a rut. It's hard to kind of look sort of globally at the season that you've had. I mean, the start of it was poor. We had a really tough fixture list. It was pretty bad,
yeah,
but then there were some games that I would say were winnable that we didn't get points in. But then I think it was the Burnley game actually that was the catalyst
yeah.
that sort of that kicked off our run. So then throughout November, December, we started getting some really important wins and some big wins as well. I mean, that
So,
3-0 at
so,
Manchester United was huge for us. And then in January, it's tailed off a little bit. We did lose a couple of players to AFCON, but I wouldn't say players that are integral to the
yeah.
side. Yeah, not really. I mean, we could do without them, and we could cope without them absolutely fine. It's not like you're losing your linchpin players like Dom Solanke or one of your central defenders or whatever. It was just 2 wingers, and we've got loads of them. It's really difficult to put our finger on exactly what it is, but I sense that we're a confidence-based side. When we don't take the lead in football games, that's where we seem to unravel quite quickly. We've had a
Yeah.
few games this season where we make mistakes, and those mistakes seem to just breed this kind of lack of confidence throughout the side, and it just reverberates throughout the team. And we've seen that on multiple occasions. But what we are doing is we're getting a lot of shots in. We are getting a lot of shots in.
Yeah, well,
When we lost,
if you don't shoot, you don't score,
yeah, exactly,
Burnley have not even been entering the raffle by having the shots. You know,
exactly.
at,
I mean,
at,
even
at,
in our
this,
3-1 loss to Fulham,
at this
go on.
point in time, I'm prepared to see, anybody put the laces through the ball from 35 yards.
just
You know, you
just
know,
bang it in the back of the net. In our 3-1 loss against Fulham,
you were
we
good.
outshot them three to
You
one.
were really good that game. I remember.
Yeah, but the second half we just couldn't hit a barn door. We had 25 shots or so against Spurs on New Year's Eve. We lost 3-1 again, and we outshot them by 3-1 as well. We're just not quite being clinical at the moment, and just that's going to change.
I think, like I said on my channel when I previewed it, the thing is, I always feel that for a relative sort of secure mid-table team who don't really have any aspirations other than surviving, and that's sort of the peak of what they think they're capable of. It's when you have a real hot streak and a peak in form, it's almost like the only ways down from here. Like
Hmm.
you can't continue to go on that upward trajectory for all the
Yeah.
seasons. So it's always going to be capitalising on the good times and
Oh, absolutely.
and making sure that you've got enough points in the bank for when the rocks set in, sort of. I mean,
Yeah, and we're in that position whereby we have got enough points. I mean, it's a similar situation within a season to what Newcastle have. So I mean, Eddie Howe, our saviour, but maybe not your saviour, but less said about that the better.
oh,
He
I really like Eddie.
Yeah,
Not,
yeah.
not so much for his time with us, but
Mm.
it's everybody's got to sort of start somewhere, and
Yeah,
but his first spell at Bournemouth and then his spell with us were just his stepping stones on the way to
yeah.
what he's become now. I do think no that if he loses to Wolves at weekend, I
It
think
could be
it
in
might
trouble.
be looking grim for him.
Yeah, but he built a rod for his own back with Newcastle by getting him to the Champions League last season, and the expectations were built up. So this season, by comparison, it's been an underwhelming season, and I suppose for Bournemouth fans, we're feeling maybe a little bit underwhelmed because of that December that we had, where we were like we were hot at that stage, but now we're just not quite hitting the level. Some performances have been good, and what we've been doing within games has been good,
Yeah.
but just executing it in the final third just not
So
been happening.
it's sort of that thing of like some people are thinking about mourning, but then sort of remembering we are Bournemouth.
Yeah,
We've had excellent performances. We're in no danger. We've not really spent comparatively much. What more do we want? Sort of thing.
yeah, exactly. You got it bang on. Well, you know what, Reese, it's been a pleasure chatting to you. Your channel then, Reese's Footy Feed.
Yeah,
Yeah, tell me about it.
So as you can see, I'm probably here. I'm disabled and I've got cerebral palsy, and I just society often like seems to paint this picture of if you're sat in a wheelchair and you've never played the game, then that means that you might not understand it or have like the ability to analyze it. So I just thought that I'd start a channel to prove to people that no matter who you are, basically football can be everything to you. So basically, obviously, I'm a big Burnley fan, but I also do watch alongs where I
Nice.
commentate on games that are on TV and talk about general football too. But it is primarily a Burnley based channel with the other things included around that.
So it's a Burnley-based channel. So basically, what you're saying is subscribe to me to watch disappointment and despair. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, yeah. But I'm a colourful commentator as well. Like, as you can see, I love talking. So when I'm watching
Yeah.
the game, I do bring some energy and funny insights to that. So anybody who's a football fan would enjoy something that's on there.
Yeah, well, if you're not subscribed, stay subscribed to the channel. And yeah, as back of the net, we do the same for AFC Bournemouth. It's been a pleasure to chat to you, Reese.
Thank
It's been
you
absolutely
very much
superb.
for having me, and hopefully I can come back on if we see each other in a cup competition sometime next season.
Love it. Love it.
I'll,
Thanks
I'll,
very much.
I'll come on and talk about the second round of the League Cup.
Yeah, that's right. Looking forward to it.
All right, take care. Thank you for having me.
Cheers.
Bye bye.